Quay, thanks so much. I know that what we're going to talk about today is maybe challenging to talk about. So, yeah, thanks again.
No, my pleasure. It was tough when I first started talking about it, I think, but I guess the more I spoke, the better I felt. So it's become a little bit easier. It's still tough, but I guess it's more about sharing your experience, and if you can help one other person get through something difficult, then it's worth it.
To give people a bit of a background of who you are, so you were an AFL Western Bulldogs player, and you had a few setbacks along the way, 3 ACLs, and you found the transition leaving AFL really challenging because your identity was to be a footballer. Can you talk me through what happened once you finished AFL?
Yeah, so as you said, 3 knees, played 30 games in my first 2 years, and then did my first knee, and then it happened every year after that, pretty much on the year. And then obviously was lucky enough to play in a grand final, which was probably one of the best things that I've ever done in my life. But I guess that probably made the transition harder, just because I guess I was at the lowest of lows with my knees. And then obviously to experience a grand final and the highs and the joys of that, to then finish up a year later, I battled pretty hard. Look, it was probably the worst 2 or 3 months after it, not sleeping, anxious, and then I went down. It was probably a fork in the road, and I took the wrong one. I went down the path of trying to mask my pain with alcohol and drugs, and it was a short-term fix. It'd take the pain away, and I probably wouldn't think about it until I woke up the next morning and regretted every time I did it. And I did that for 6 to 8 months without anyone knowing, and yeah.
The pain that you talk about, is that pain from your injury or pain from finishing your
just
football
pain
career?
of probably just losing my identity a little bit. I played sport my whole life, played at a pretty high level, and then being around a footy club like an AFL football club, it's special. It's your boyhood dream. It was my job, which sounds weird to say, but it was for 7 years, and it was the best job in the world. And you spend it with 44 of your best mates, and to then just be by yourself, sitting at home and not really knowing what to do with yourself or where you sort of belong in the world, I guess. Like, I worked at Macca's as a part-time job when I was young, and then did a little bit of plumbing, but never really had a full-time job. I got drafted at 18 and was there till I was 25. So all your mates have got fully qualified trades and been in business or had their jobs for a while. So yeah, just sort of feeling lost, and I guess knowing that if my body was all right, that I'd still be playing. That's what I probably struggled with the most, that my body let me down, and the club wanted me there and I wanted to be there, but I just couldn't be. So it's just the pain of that. And yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself, to be honest. And then I started working, which I needed some structure, but that didn't stop me from drinking and the substances and gambling and stuff. So I battled that for a long time, and I dug myself into a pretty deep hole. And it got to the point where the only way I thought I was going to get out of it was to end it. And to be honest, that was probably my thoughts in my head for 3 months straight. Every night I went to bed, I was too scared to tell anyone because I was too embarrassed. And I didn't know how to get out of it. And it wasn't until that pretty much got to a point, 3 a.m. one morning, I was sitting in my garage, and I called my partner and just broke down and just said, I need help. And we got it. And I'm still here today to tell the story, but it was a hard road. Like, I was seeing a psychiatrist and psychologist for 2 years. I don't put bets on anymore, like I didn't drink for a year. And just cleaned myself up and sort of got me back, and just because I wasn't me either. Like, I wasn't happy, I wasn't bubbly, I wasn't full of energy, I never wanted to leave the house. It was, yeah, I went through the best part of my life and then probably the worst part. And then, yeah, it wasn't until speaking to my psychiatrist and stuff about finding other things that make me happy. And life wasn't just football, which was hard to sort of digest at the time because my whole life had been football. So, yeah, it was finding things like that, taking the dog for a walk, cooking dinners, and that's when I started to get back into coaching. So I went down and started coaching part-time at Willie C. Wise and then I started boxing. So hence why we're here today. So
If you had your time again, what would you do?
I look like I say like that was my identity, but like I was always still the boy from the country, and I always will be. But look, anything that I choose to do, I'm all in. I don't do anything half-assed, and yeah. So if I say yes to something, then you know you've got me completely. Whether that's with anything like coaching, boxing, footy, friendships, like yeah, it's just I'm an all-in sort of person and pretty full on at times, but. Yeah, it's like even with this, like I love this place. I love the people here, but it's more the people and the place that brings me back. Like the boxing's good, get in the ring and throw some hands, and that's going right as well. But it's the training, it's the camaraderie, it's that friendship, it's the practical jokes and the laughs, and yeah. So it's that. It's when you've had a shit day and you come here and train, leave here happier than when you got here. I think that's what makes it worth it.
How do you see yourself now?
I see myself as me again, which to me is important. Like, I lost myself for a long time. I lost some friends because of it. I put a lot of people through pain but I'm back to being me, and other people are so happy to see that. But for me, that's, and football was part of me, but it wasn't all of me. And I guess that's what I learned, that there's a lot more that I had to give. And there's other things that I can do and that make me happy and that make other people happy and that I can be involved with in my life. So, yeah, I guess that's probably that I'm me again. And yeah, it's pretty special.
Would there be a way, looking back on it now, is there anything that you could have done differently to have not had to experience the things you experienced?
Ask for help. Yeah. Just not been so, yeah, I think when you've been at the top level and everyone thinks you've got everything, like I won a grand final and like I've got a house and stuff, but so it was sort of like I felt embarrassed, like people are going to be like, oh, like how are you looking, like you've got everything, but really I didn't. Like I was so lost and I felt like I had nothing and no one, and yeah, I was so scared to say anything because didn't know how people would take it, and it's probably just getting rid of that stigma and even once I did ask for help, there were so many people willing to help and to support me and understand what I was going through. So yeah, if you're going through anything, just speak up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now you're essentially full-time boxing. I checked out your last fight. That knockout was frightening, for sure.
Yeah, that was probably the best one. It worked out pretty well being on live TV on Channel 7, so I timed that well. But yeah, like I always did it growing up, just for fitness and stuff, pre-seasons. For footy, I did it back home in Bairnsdale growing up, and then did some with the footy club, and then I had my first fight out of the gym in Yarraville once I finished footy, and then COVID hit, and then Topic from Team Alice sort of hit me up and just said, oh, do you want to have a fight? And it was probably that perfect time where I needed something for me, like I'm a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very competitive. So I needed something that would sort of burn that. So yeah, I jumped in it and loved it. And yeah, so it was awesome. And it was more, like I said before, it was the people at the gym that they're so welcoming. Like same thing when you walk into a gym and you've sort of been a high profile athlete, you're not sure how people are going to take it, and they just see me for me, and I'm a country bogan when I come in here too. So I'm loud, obnoxious, and that's what they love, and I can just be myself when I come here.
through your recovery journey, you actually were helping some of the homeless. Can you tell me the story of who you connected with and what's come about?
Yeah, so through AFL, there's a program called Ladder. And so it was fully voluntary work, and so working with the youth and homeless kids around Melbourne. And so you do it, I think, once every 2 weeks I would have only been 22, 23 at the time. But yeah, so I was working with a young Sudanese boy named Laliza. Absolute ripping kid, he really was. I was probably one of the lucky ones, because there was, as you can imagine, like a lot of them have been through to hell and back, and he'd run away from home, and things were happening at home, and so he was on the streets. And Ladder has so housing and stuff that they pay for, that they put them up in, so that they've got a roof over their head and that they get fed. And but yeah, it's more you're there just for support, because a lot of people in their lives have let them down and not been there for them when they need it. So that was probably the big thing at the start, that if you're saying yes to this, you have to be there, because if you let them down, it's just another person that's let them down in their life. So not everyone does it, and that's understandable. A lot of people have got things going on in their life, but it was something special to me, and it probably gave me perspective. Like when you're injured and you think you're having a bad day, and so I'm going to be back playing footy in 9 months, I'm still getting paid, I've got a roof over my head still. There's these kids on the streets that haven't even got a roof over their head and don't have food, and every time I seen him, he had a smile on his face. He got himself a part-time job, he had a partner. Like, as I remember when I first met you, and I was telling you, like, I did my knee, and I got a message off him one day and just said, I'm so sorry, I hope you're all right. Like, this a kid that's got nothing that's still checking in on me, like. And it did. That changed my whole outlook on life, and probably not so much for me. And it was like, it sucks being injured, but life ain't that bad. Like, I can walk, talk, and still do things. So, and that's probably why I still box, and I run around at training some nights with the boys, and people are like, why do you do it? Like, I can't walk afterwards, but it's like, if I can, I will, like, because there's going to come a day where I can't. So if I can do something, I'm going to do it. And yeah, so I'm so grateful for the opportunity to work with Ladder, and we stayed in contact for a long time. And so it's good.
What does fearless mean to you?
Probably not being scared of failing. It's probably one of my big things growing up. I sort of always told I was too short or too slow or wasn't good enough, and always like to prove people wrong. But I was always, even with boxing, like, there's a chance that you can end up on your back in front of your family and friends, and that scares you. But there's a lot of things that scare me in life, but I don't like to show it. Like to beat it. I can't wait to go skydiving. I'll be shitting myself when I get out of the plane, but that's something I want to do. It makes you feel alive. So guess living your life and doing the things that you want to do, and not letting fear stop you.
The brand, Stitch Untitled.
Okay.
So what is it about Stitch Untitled that, draws you in and makes you want to work with us?
To be honest, it's probably the three words that are there: the fearless, resilient, and determined. Like, I don't know how I stumbled across it, and I've seen it, and it just resembles probably so much of what I'm about as well, and sort of looked at some of the videos and some of the stories and why the brand is like it is, and yeah, it just sort of was like, that's someone I'd like to work with, and someone that like I will never promote anything that I don't believe in myself. And so I was wrapped when the opportunity came, and it helps when it's great clothing and stuff as well. And like, good people are good people, and I've always got time for good people and people that have got time for others. So
thanks so much, Clay. I know that chatting about some of this stuff, brings back a lot of emotion, so I really do appreciate it, and hopefully it goes on to help more people.
Thank you for your time.